The twin moons were rising over the red desert of Vareth 9, their light spreading across the broken metal shelters that once belonged to the great alien city. Now it was only ruins, silent, cold, and filled with the smell of dust and sadness. Inside a small corner of this ruined world lived two sisters, both of the Yalran race, tall, thin creatures with silver skin and eyes that glowed faintly blue in the dark. The older one was Sira, 16 years old, brave and sharp. The younger one, Luma, was only 8, with a fragile body and weak lungs that made her cough whenever the desert wind blew. They had no parents. The war had taken them. The humans had come from the sky 5 years ago, bringing light, machines, and destruction. The Yalran army fought back but lost. Now only the humans ruled the food factories. Every alien had to beg or trade something for food. But Sira and Luma had nothing left to trade. That evening, the wind howled through the ruins. The cold bit into their thin skins. Luma held her stomach, crying softly. "Sira, I'm hungry," she whispered. "It hurts." Sira looked around their broken shelter. The food box was empty and only dust and broken shells. She had not eaten in 2 days either, but she smiled for her sister. "It's okay, Luma," she said. "I'll find something. Just wait here." She wrapped herself in a torn cloak and stepped outside. The streets were dark, full of shadows and hungry eyes. Other aliens sat silently, too weak to move. Sira walked past them, her eyes fixed on the glowing towers far away. The human district. Humans controlled everything there. Water, food, medicine. Only those who served them could eat. Some aliens worked as slaves. Some sold other things. Sira hated humans, but she knew one thing. Hate could not feed her sister. At the checkpoint, 2 human guards stood laughing, holding shining rifles. When Sira came closer, they looked at her like she was an insect. "What do you want, Silver Girl?" one of them asked. "Food," Sira said quietly. "My sister?" "She's starving." The men exchanged glances. One smirked. "We don't give food for free. Maybe you can earn it." Sira understood what he meant. Her heart pounded. She stepped back, her mind screaming, but she couldn't show fear. "Please," she said again. "She's just a child." "Then go sell something," the man said coldly. "Or someone." He turned away. The gate stayed shut. Sira clenched her fist. Her throat burned, but she didn't cry. She walked away into the dark streets, feeling the sand cut her feet through her torn boots. When she returned, Luma was lying on the floor, pale and shivering. "You didn't eat?" Sira asked softly. Luma shook her head. "No, I waited for you." Sira hugged her. The small alien girl's heartbeat was weak against her chest. That moment Sira felt something inside her break. Fear, pride, maybe hope. She looked up through the holes in the ceiling, where the stars burned bright and cruel. "I will not let you die," she whispered. That night Sira walked again toward the human district. She passed the checkpoint, her hands trembling, but her steps were steady. The guards were still there, smiling as if they already knew what she had come for. "You changed your mind, Silver Girl?" one said. Sira didn't answer. She only said one sentence. "I'll do what you want. But you give me food for her first." The man laughed, nodding toward a small box. Inside it were 2 protein bars wrapped in shiny human plastic. "For your little sister," he said. "You're smart." Sira took the food, her hands shaking. She turned her face away as they led her inside the human tower. The doors closed behind her with a heavy sound, like a metal coffin sealing shut. Back in the ruins, Luma woke up to the smell of food. She sat up, eyes wide, and saw the 2 bars. She ate slowly, tears running down her face. "Thank you, Sira," she whispered, looking at the door. But Sira wasn't there. Hours passed. The twin moons set. The wind grew colder. Luma wrapped herself in her sister's cloak and waited. But Sira did not return. Outside in the distance, the human tower glowed bright, and a scream echoed through the night, carried by the desert wind. The next morning, a pale light touched the ruins of Vareth 9. The red sand glowed faintly under the weak sun. Luma woke up slowly, her stomach full for the first time in many days. For a few seconds she smiled. Then she remembered. Sira was gone. The smile faded. She looked around their shelter, empty, cold, and silent. The cloak that belonged to Sira was still lying beside her. "Sira," she called softly. "Are you back?" Only the wind answered. Luma stood up and walked outside. The city was waking, if it could be called a city anymore. Old alien machines lay broken in the dust. The air smelled of iron and smoke. Far away, she saw the human tower still glowing, tall and silver against the dead world. Her heart began to race. She knew Sira had gone there. She tried to walk toward it, but her weak lungs burned after a few steps. She fell to her knees, coughing hard. Some nearby aliens looked at her but said nothing. Everyone on Vareth 9 had their own pain. No one had the strength to care. Meanwhile, inside the human tower, Sira lay in a small white room. The floor was clean, the walls bright, the air too cold. Her body ached, but her mind was awake. She had done what they wanted, traded her pride, her body, her freedom for food. But something strange happened after that. Instead of letting her go, the humans had locked her inside. She tried to shout, but a mechanical voice spoke from the ceiling. "You are not allowed to leave yet. The commander wants to see you." Sira's heart sank. She sat against the wall, hugging her knees. She thought of Luma, probably waiting, scared, alone. Every second here felt like a knife twisting in her chest. Then the door opened. A tall human man entered, wearing a black coat with golden stripes. Commander Hales, the man who controlled all alien labor on this side of Vareth 9. His eyes were cold and sharp. "So," he said slowly, "you're the Yalran girl who begged for food." Sira stayed silent. "You could have stolen like the others," he said, circling her. "But you came willingly. Why?" Sira looked up, her eyes burning. "Because my sister is dying," she said. "I'll do anything to keep her alive." The man stopped, studying her face. "Anything," he repeated. "You have courage. Not many of your kind do." He turned toward the door, then paused. "We need aliens who obey orders. There's a shipment leaving for the human colony on Mars. You'll go there. As a servant." Sira's stomach turned cold. "No, my sister, she's alone out there." "You should have thought of that before," Hales said. "You belong to the human government now." He walked out, leaving her screaming behind the locked door. Back in the ruins, Luma tried to survive. She waited all day and night. She ate the second food bar slowly, saving every piece. But hunger returned. Cold returned. And still, Sira didn't come back. On the third night, she decided to go look for her sister. She wrapped the cloak tight and started walking toward the human tower again. The city lights hurt her eyes. Human drones floated above, scanning everything. When she reached the checkpoint, one of the same guards noticed her. "Hey, isn't that the little alien girl?" he muttered. "Looks like her sister didn't tell her she's gone." The other guard laughed. "She's a cute one. Maybe the commander will take her too." Luma didn't understand their words, but she felt the danger. She turned to run, but then something strange happened. The air around the checkpoint shimmered, and a human in a dark uniform stepped out of the shadows. He wasn't like the others. His badge read Dr. Aaron Vale, Human Research Division. His face was calm but sad. "Let her go," he ordered the guards. "She's sick." The men hesitated but obeyed. Dr. Vale knelt in front of Luma. "Where's your home?" he asked gently. "My sister," she whispered. "They took her. Please, help." Something in her voice struck him deeply. He had seen many aliens, but this one, this little girl, reminded him of his own daughter who had died back on Earth during the First War. "What's your sister's name?" he asked. "Sira," she said. She went inside the tower. Dr. Vale stood up slowly. "Then I'll find her," he said. "You have my word." He took Luma with him toward the human tower, hiding her under his long coat. Far above, in the highest lab room, Sira sat quietly, her eyes on the stars through the glass wall. She didn't know that someone, a human, was already walking toward her, breaking every rule to save an alien girl and her sister. The human tower stood tall against the blood-red sky. Its silver walls reflected the dying light of Vareth 9's twin suns. Inside, machines hummed softly, keeping the air cool and clean, a luxury the aliens outside could only dream of. Dr. Aaron Vale walked through the sterile halls, his heart beating faster with every step. He wasn't supposed to be here this late, but something inside him refused to stay quiet after meeting the little alien girl. Her eyes, frightened yet full of hope, had burned themselves into his mind. He had promised her he would find her sister. Now he was breaking the highest rule of the galactic law. Humans must not interfere with alien property. But he didn't care. He reached a locked section marked Experimental Unit 47. 2 armed guards stood outside. Commander's orders, one said. No one enters without clearance. Aaron showed his badge. Medical checkup, he lied. His voice was calm but firm, the kind that made people obey without thinking. The guards looked uncertain, then stepped aside. Inside, the air was cold and smelled of metal and fear. Rows of small white rooms lined the corridor, each holding an alien prisoner. Some lay still, some stared blankly, some whispered prayers in languages humans didn't understand. And then he saw her. Through a glass window, Sierra sat on the floor, her hands tied, her silver skin bruised. Her glowing blue eyes turned toward him, tired but alive. Aaron entered the room and closed the door quietly behind him. Sierra, he said softly. I'm here to help. She didn't answer at first. Her voice was weak. You're human, she whispered. Help means pain, Aaron shook his head. No, I met your sister, Luma. She's safe. She's waiting for you. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Luma's alive? He nodded. Yes, but we must move fast. The commander plans to send you to Mars. Once you leave this planet, you'll never see her again. Sierra's breath quickened. She stood up, swaying on weak legs. Then let's go. Aaron tapped his wrist device, disabling the room's security. The locks clicked open. Stay close to me, he said. Don't speak, don't look back. They slipped into the hallway. The alarms hadn't sounded yet, but time was running out. Aaron guided her through the maintenance corridors, narrow tunnels full of pipes and steam. Every step echoed like thunder in their ears. Halfway through, Sierra stopped. Why are you doing this? She asked. Aaron paused. For a second, his calm mask broke. Because I once had a daughter, he said quietly. She died when the war began. Humans destroyed her city, just like they destroyed yours. I couldn't save her, but maybe I can save you. Sierra looked at him for a long moment. In that instant, something changed between them. An unspoken bond born from shared loss. Then came the sound they feared. The sharp cry of an alarm. The red lights flashed across the corridor. Security breach in Unit 47. A voice shouted through the speakers. Run! Aaron ordered. They sprinted down the tunnel. The metal floor shook as drones flew past overhead, searching for intruders. Aaron used his ID to open a hidden service door that led outside. The desert wind hit them hard, cold and fierce. The human tower glowed behind them, its lights turning red as soldiers poured out. Where's Luma? Sierra asked, gasping for breath. Aaron pointed toward the ruins. She's hiding near the old factory. Go that way. I'll cover you. But Sierra hesitated. No, you'll be caught. Aaron smiled faintly. Maybe, but I'm a human. They'll only question me. You're the one they'll kill. Before she could argue, he shoved a small metal card into her hand. This is a passkey, he said. It'll open the old transport pod near the canyon. Take your sister and leave this planet. Promise me. Tears filled her eyes. Why would you help us, even if it means your death? He looked up at the red sky. Because somewhere my daughter would want someone to do the same. Then he turned and ran toward the patrols, drawing their attention. Sierra watched him disappear into the light of the tower as gunfire echoed in the distance. She clenched the passkey in her hand and whispered, I promise. Then she ran faster than ever before. When she reached the ruins, she saw a small figure waiting beside the broken walls. Luma. Her sister looked up, her eyes shining with tears. Sierra, she cried, running into her arms. Sierra held her tight. The cold wind couldn't touch them anymore. But behind them, the human tower still burned bright. And the sound of ships taking off filled the sky. They had escaped for now, but freedom was still far away. The twin suns were rising over the endless red sands of Vareth 9. The wind howled like a living thing, carrying dust that burned the skin. Somewhere far behind, the human tower still glowed like a silver spear against the horizon. Sierra held Luma's hand tightly as they walked through the broken city's edge, leaving behind the only home they ever knew, and the humans who wanted them dead or enslaved. Her legs ached, her throat was dry, but her heart kept whispering one word, run. Luma stumbled beside her. Sierra, where are we going? To the canyon, Sierra said softly. There's a transport pod there. The human doctor gave me a key. We can use it to leave this planet. Luma blinked in confusion. A human helped you? Sierra nodded. Not all humans are monsters. Some still have hearts. The desert stretched before them, wide, silent, dangerous. Old war machines lay half buried in the sand. Twisted metal arms, broken drones, skeletons of giant walkers. Every few steps the ground cracked under their feet, whispering stories of battles long forgotten. They walked for hours. The heat grew stronger. Their feet blistered and their lungs filled with dust. Luma coughed again, harder this time. Sierra stopped and lifted her sister into her arms. She was lighter than ever, too light. "Don't worry," Sierra said, forcing a smile. "We're close." But even she didn't believe her own words anymore. As they crossed a narrow ridge, a loud boom echoed behind them. Sierra turned and froze. 3 flying drones were slicing through the sky, small, fast, and deadly. The humans had found their trail. "Hold on," Sierra whispered, clutching Luma tighter and running downhill. The sand made her slip, but she didn't stop. Laser beams flashed above, burning holes into the ground. Luma screamed. "Sierra!" Sierra ducked behind a fallen metal pillar, breathing hard. Her heart pounded so loud it felt like thunder in her chest. She peeked out. The drones were scanning the area with red lights. She needed to think. She needed to act fast. Then she saw something. A half-buried war robot, an ancient Yalran machine from before the humans came. Its chest was open, dead for years, but its energy cell still glowed faintly. Sierra crawled to it. She tore the cell out with both hands, sparks flying. The drones noticed movement and turned toward her. She pressed a few buttons on the cracked panel and waited. Nothing. "Please work," she whispered. "Please." The cell flickered once, then exploded with a loud crack. The blast threw sand and light everywhere. The drones crashed one by one, their circuits fried. The desert went silent again, except for the soft hiss of burning metal. Sierra fell to her knees, coughing. Luma ran to her. "You did it!" she cried. Sierra smiled weakly. "Just lucky. But luck doesn't last forever." She looked up and saw black smoke rising. The humans would see it too. They had to move again, fast. Hours later, the red sun began to fall. The desert turned cold, the light fading into deep blue. At last, Sierra saw the shape of the canyon, a dark wound in the land stretching miles wide. They climbed down carefully, the rocks sharp and slippery. Near the bottom, hidden among stones, was what they had come for, a small transport pod covered in dust and half-buried. Luma gasped. "It's real." Sierra ran to it and pressed the passkey Aaron had given her. The pod hummed, lights blinking to life. The door opened with a long hiss. Inside were 2 seats, old but still working. Tears filled Sierra's eyes. He really kept his word. She helped Luma inside and sat beside her. The screen glowed, showing human letters. She couldn't read all of them, but one word she recognized. Launch. She pressed it. The engines coughed, then roared to life. The ground shook as the pod rose slowly, sand swirling around them like a storm. "Sierra, are we leaving?" Luma asked, clutching her hand. "Yes," Sierra said softly. "We're going home, wherever that is." The pod climbed higher, past the canyon walls, past the clouds of red dust. For the first time in years, they saw the stars clearly, endless, bright, and free. But then a warning flashed on the screen. Signal detected. Incoming pursuit ships. Sierra's heart dropped. The humans were still coming. She looked at Luma and smiled sadly. "We'll fight if we have to," she said. "We've come too far to stop now." The pod shot upward, cutting through the night sky like a falling star in reverse. Behind them, the desert burned with chasing lights. And somewhere deep below, the human tower stood silent, hiding one man who had risked everything to give them this chance. The transport pod broke through the dusty clouds of Vareth 9 and entered the black sea of space. The stars spread like white fireflies across endless darkness. For the first time in her life, Sierra saw the planet from above. A red, wounded world fading behind her. For a few seconds, she felt peace. The silence of space was strange but beautiful. She looked at Luma, who sat beside her, eyes wide in wonder. "Look, Sierra," Luma whispered. "We're flying." Sierra smiled, her tired heart warming. "Yes, little one. We're free, but freedom never comes so easily." A sharp alarm cut through the moment. The screen in front of them turned red. Warning. Pursuit signal detected. Sierra turned to the window and saw them. 3 human patrol ships, sleek and silver, closing in fast. Their blue thrusters burned bright like hunters' eyes in the dark. "They found us," Sierra said, gripping the controls. The pod was old, half-broken, never meant for combat. The humans' ships were armed with plasma cannons that could vaporize them in seconds. Luma's small voice trembled. "What will we do?" Sierra took a deep breath. "We survive." She pulled the lever forward. The pod jolted, speeding toward the asteroid belt ahead. The engines screamed, metal shaking violently. The G-force pushed them back in their seats, but Sierra didn't slow down. Behind them, the human ships fired. Blue light streaked past the windows, missing by inches. Each blast lit up the dark like silent lightning. The asteroid field was a storm of rocks spinning through space, big and small, sharp as knives. Sierra steered between them, her hands shaking. Eyes locked on the path. The ship's old computer crackled. Collision risk, 94%. "Then we'll take the 6%, Sierra muttered. The pod dived between two giant stones, the hull scraping so close that sparks flew. One of the human ships tried to follow and smashed straight into an asteroid, exploding into a shower of burning metal. Luma gasped. "You did it!" "Not yet," Sierra said. Two more were still behind them. She spun the ship hard left, dodging another rock. A plasma beam hit near the tail, sending a shockwave through the pod. Lights flickered. Warning signs flashed everywhere. "Engine power falling," the computer said. Sierra hit the console with her fist. "Stay alive, you old thing." For a second, nothing happened. Then the engine coughed and came back to life. The pod shot forward again, straight into a dense cluster of asteroids. Luma screamed as a massive rock spun toward them. Sierra twisted the controls just in time. The asteroid missed by a few meters, but a smaller one struck the side, leaving a deep crack in the window. Sierra glanced at Luma. Her little sister's eyes were full of tears. She reached out one hand even while flying and whispered, "Don't be afraid. We'll see the stars together. Always." Suddenly a voice came through the radio. Deep, familiar. "Sierra, if you can hear this." "It's Dr. Vale." Sierra froze. She turned the dial, trying to get a clearer signal. "The humans are tracking your energy signature," his voice said. "But there's an old mining station ahead. Coordinates Alpha 27. Go there. You can hide inside the station's magnetic field. Hurry." Then the signal broke. "Dr. Vale," Sierra whispered. He was still alive. Still helping them. She checked the coordinates. The station wasn't far, hidden behind the asteroid belt's thickest region. It was their only chance. She pushed the pod forward. The engines howled. The last two human ships followed, their weapons charging again. A plasma shot hit the back of the pod, tearing a hole in one engine. Smoke filled the cabin. Luma coughed. "Sierra, I can't breathe." Sierra ripped off her jacket and pressed it over the leak. The air hissed out slowly, but it gave them a few more minutes. "Hold on, Luma. Almost there." Ahead, the mining station came into view. A giant, silent structure floating in the dark, broken, but still alive. Magnetic lights shimmered around it like a shield. Sierra guided the pod straight into the glowing field. The moment they entered, all signals vanished. Radar, engines, everything went dead. The pod drifted quietly, hidden inside the magnetic storm. The human ships stopped outside, scanning, confused. They circled for minutes, then turned back, disappearing into the stars. Inside the pod, silence returned. Luma opened her eyes weakly. "Are we safe now?" Sierra looked out at the glowing field. "For now, yes." They floated toward the station's docking port. The door opened automatically, as if waiting for them. Sierra helped Luma out and looked around. The station was dark, empty, full of dust, but still warm with power. Strange lights moved inside like ghosts of machines that once worked here. Sierra whispered, "We'll rest here tonight." She didn't know that deep inside the mining station, something was still alive, and something not human, not Yalran, but older than both. And it had just felt their arrival. The mining station floated in the darkness of space like a dead giant. Its metal skin was old and cracked, marked with scars from wars no one remembered. The lights flickered faintly, powered by energy cells that had somehow survived for decades. Sierra stepped out of the pod first, holding Luma's hand tightly. The air inside the station was thin but breathable. The silence was heavy, no humans, no guards, no voices. Only the distant hum of old machines sleeping. "It's quiet," Luma whispered. "Too quiet," Sierra replied softly. They moved through the long, empty corridors. Dust floated in the air like silver mist. Old Yalran symbols glowed weakly on the walls, signs from a time before the humans came. This station was once built by her people. It was strange, almost sacred, to walk here again. In one large hall, broken mining robots stood frozen like statues. Their eyes were dark, their metal bodies rusted. Sierra touched one gently, feeling the cold metal under her fingers. "They used to work for us," she said, voice low. "Before we lost everything." Luma looked around, her small voice trembling. "Do you think they remember?" Sierra smiled sadly. "Machines don't remember, little one. They only obey." But she was wrong. Deep inside the station, in a locked chamber far below them, something did remember. A core of living metal still pulsed faintly. The heart of the station's ancient AI, known long ago as Unit Cora 7. It had been sleeping for centuries, but when Sierra entered, her energy signature and her Yalran DNA reached the core. A voice stirred in the dark. "Yalran signal detected. Awakening protocols? Stand by." Lights began to flicker across the walls. Circuits warmed up. The machine was waking. Sierra and Luma found a small room with working lights. It had 2 chairs, an old console, and a cracked window showing the stars. It felt safer than the empty halls. "We can rest here," Sierra said. Luma nodded, curling up on one of the chairs. "Will the humans find us again?" "Not here," Sierra said, though she wasn't sure. "This place is hidden." After a while, Luma fell asleep, her soft breathing echoing through the quiet room. Sierra sat beside her, staring at the stars. Her mind was full. Of Dr. Vale, of the humans chasing them, of their broken world below. She whispered to herself, "There has to be more than running." Then suddenly the console in front of her turned on. The screen glowed bright blue, lines of alien language flashing across it. Sierra stood up quickly, heart racing. "What is this?" she muttered. A voice spoke, calm, deep, metallic. "Yalran lifeform detected. Identity unknown. State your purpose." Sierra froze. It was not a human voice. It was something older, mechanical, and strangely alive. Who are you?" she asked. "I am Cora 7, Core Intelligence of Verith Mining Station. Status dormant for 312 years. Energy restored by Yalran contact." Sierra's hands trembled. "You're one of our machines. I thought all Yalran systems were destroyed." "Most were," Cora said. "But I survived. Hidden beneath the magnetic field. Awaiting Yalran command. The humans did not find me." Sierra stared at the glowing screen. Hope flickered in her chest for the first time in a long time. "Can you help us?" she asked. "Humans are hunting us. We have nowhere to go." There was a long pause filled with the hum of deep thought. "You are Yalran," the machine said. "I am programmed to protect Yalran lives. Assistance. Approved." The floor trembled slightly as power spread through the station. Lights turned on in distant corridors. The robots in the halls flickered, their eyes glowing faintly again. Sierra stepped back, amazed. "You're waking them up." "They will serve," Cora said. "They remember their purpose." In another room, Luma woke up, startled by the noise. She ran to Sierra's side. "What's happening?" "We're not alone anymore," Sierra said softly. Cora's voice filled the room again. "Warning. Human ships approaching orbit. Estimated arrival 7 hours." Sierra's heart jumped. "They found us?" "Affirmative," Cora replied. "Their sensors cannot enter the magnetic field, but they are waiting outside. They will attempt ground entry soon." Luma clutched her sister's arm. "They'll catch us again." Sierra turned to the screen, determination returning to her face. "Then we fight," she said. "You said you were built to protect us and then protect us now." The machine's lights glowed brighter. "Command accepted. Preparing defense systems. Reactivating battle units all across the station." Old machines began to rise from their slumber. One by one, their red eyes lighting up. Metal limbs moving again after centuries of silence. Sierra watched in awe as the old Yalran army came back to life. For the first time, she wasn't running anymore. She looked down at Luma, who smiled weakly. "We have friends now," Luma whispered. "Yes," Sierra said. "And this time the humans will see what it means to face Yalran fire." Outside the station, in the darkness of space, the human ships waited, unaware that inside the forgotten station, something ancient had awakened, something that would change the balance of power once again. The mining station was alive again. Its dark metal walls shook with new power as ancient circuits glowed blue. The hum of forgotten engines filled the air, low, deep and steady like a giant's heartbeat. Sierra stood in the control room, her eyes wide as hundreds of lights blinked across the panels. She could feel the energy flowing through the station, through Cora 7, the old Yalren intelligence now awake after centuries of sleep. "Status report," Sira said. "All defense units online," the mechanical voice replied. "Weapons functional. Power core stable at 63%. She turned to Luma, who stood beside her, watching the glowing screens. The little girl's silver eyes shined with hope. "Does this mean we can fight back?" she asked softly. Sira nodded. "Yes, we won't run anymore." Outside the station, the stars burned silently, until a new light appeared. 3 massive human warships dropped out of hyperspace, their hulls black and sharp like knives. The largest one carried the symbol of the Human Command, the same fleet that had destroyed Yalren cities years ago. Commander Hales stood on the bridge, his face cold as steel. "The fugitives are inside that old station," he said. "No survivors. I want that place erased." "Yes, sir," replied the officer. The ships turned their weapons toward the mining station. The silence of space ended as the first blast of plasma cut through the darkness, blue fire against metal. Inside, the whole station shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Alarms screamed. "Impact detected," said Cora. "Shields at 40%. Luma grabbed her sister's hand. "They're going to destroy us." Sira clenched her jaw. "No, not this time." She ran to the main console. "Cora, fire back." "Authorization required," Cora replied. Sira pressed her hand on the glowing panel. The scanner read her Yalren DNA. "Authorization granted." A deep rumble filled the air. From the sides of the station, hidden cannons opened like giant wings. Blue light gathered at their tips, then burst outward in long beams that cut through space. The first human warship took a direct hit. Flames tore across its hull. Inside, alarms screamed as the crew lost control. Commander Hales gritted his teeth. "Impossible. That station should be dead." "Sir, one of our ships is down." "Then we finish it ourselves," Hales growled. "Send in the drop troops." Hundreds of human drones and soldiers launched toward the station, metal spheres and armored men falling through the void like a rain of death. Inside, Cora's voice echoed calmly. "Enemy boarding units detected. Defense drones activated." In the dark corridors of the station, the old Yalren robots came to life. Tall, rusted warriors with glowing red eyes. Their arms turned into weapons as they marched forward in perfect silence. When the human troops broke through the outer doors, they met a storm of fire. Blue plasma from ancient Yalren weapons tore through their armor. The halls of the station became a battlefield once more, a war between past and present. Sira guided Luma to a small escape chamber. "Stay here," she said. "Lock the door and don't come out." Luma shook her head. "No, you'll die." Sira smiled softly. "Not today." She touched her sister's face. "If I don't make it, promise me you'll live. Promise me you'll find a world where no one is hungry." Luma's tears glowed under the dim light. "I promise." Then Sira turned and ran back to the control room. The station was burning, but Cora was still fighting. "Core damage increasing," Cora warned. "Power unstable." "Then use it," Sira shouted. "Use all of it." "Warning, overload will destroy the station." "Do it." Cora paused. Then its voice changed, softer, almost human. "Understood, Commander Sira of the Yalren." The lights turned white. The entire station began to glow as energy built up inside the power core. Outside, the human warships prepared their final strike, unaware of what was coming. In one last burst of light, the mining station released all its energy at once. A wave of blue fire that tore across the stars. The human fleet vanished in silence, turned to dust by the blast. The explosion echoed through the void, lighting up the black sky of space like a second sunrise. Hours later, a small escape pod drifted among the stars. Inside it sat Luma, clutching the pendant Sira had given her. She watched the distant blue light fade slowly. Her voice trembled. "You did it, Sira. You saved us all." A soft tone came from the pod's radio. It was Cora's voice, faint but alive. "Luma of the Yalren, your sister's actions will be remembered." She gave her light to end the darkness. Luma wiped her tears. "Where will I go now?" "There are worlds beyond this one," Cora replied. "Worlds where humans and Yalren once dreamed of peace. Perhaps it's time to dream again." The pod's engines came to life, heading toward the farthest star. As it disappeared into the endless night, the universe seemed to whisper the name of the girl who had once been hungry, and the sister who had traded everything to keep her alive. And thus, The legend of the two alien sisters, and the human who broke the law to save them, began to spread across the stars.